Hey guys, Anthony here, Wednesday, December 9th, 2015. Tonight's video comes to us from Modern Survival Online. I think I've talked about John Rourke's website. It's a great little website. I get the daily emails. There's different topics every day that he covers. It's a host of prepping material that I think everybody should be following. It's a very good, well done site, and hopefully I'm going to get to meet John soon up in North Carolina when I visit that way. But at any rate, on the December 7th version of his daily email, he had an SHTF scenario question that I thought needs some attention, and I'd like to get it out there on my channel and get some feedback from people that watch my channel as to what they would do in this situation. And I'll read the scenario, and then I'll read some of the responses that people made, and including myself. I made a response the day that it came out after I thought it through a little bit. You got to really, when I read it, you have to think about what I'm reading and what is happening. So when you get, when you make your response, put some thought into it. I don't know if this is right. There are right and wrong responses, I think. There are people that have said certain things or done certain things that I wouldn't do necessarily in this situation. But at any rate, let's look at this and what these scenarios do. And he says it here in the scenario. I'll read it. SHTF scenario. An armed man knocks on the door and asks for food. Okay, here's the scenario. At first he starts off this way. Scenarios are valuable tools to get you thinking about possibilities corresponding to decisions, actions before being confronted with an actual situation. And that's true. As you start thinking these things through, when they really happen, you've got some kind of thought process that you've done prior. By reviewing and processing a scenario over and over again in your head, the ability to process a real event becomes much less stressful. Less stress equals better chance of making the right decision. Okay, for this scenario, and this is the scenario. So when you answer this question, answer it based on this scenario. And again, I'll put the link in the description box so you guys can read it also. It has been 24 hours since the power went out. Terrorists have struck at the power grid across the United States, causing extreme damage and long-term widespread power outages. People are beginning to understand the severity of the situation and panic. A man knocks on your front door. Your entire family is home, and you are armed. You look out the peephole and see the man is armed. You ask what he wants, and he responds this: I am just looking for some food. I ran out of gas and I have no cash for food. Can you help? So that's the scenario. 24 hours since the power went out. Terrorists struck the power grid. So 24 hours, terrorists, we know that. The power grid's down across the United States, causing extreme damage, long-term widespread power outage. People are beginning to panic, which is understandable. A man knocks on your door within 24 hours, and he is asking for food. He ran out of gas, has no cash, and he wants your help. So, as you formulate your answers, I'll read, or as you think about this scenario, I'll read I'll pick a few of the people that commented, and I'll read some of their comments. There's 31 comments to this SHTF scenario, so I'll pick a couple of them. Okay, this guy here says, I'll tell him without opening the door to go away. We cannot help him. If If he does not leave immediately, DH would yell out to him to leave now or be shot. After that, he gets 10 seconds. Okay? This guy, John Galt, says, if I'm 24 hours in and already contemplating blowing holes in my door, then I have failed spectacularly. So John Galt goes further in a later comment that day, and he says, if you insist, because John Rourke asked him what he would do, based purely on the info you've given, the armed man would never make it to my door. If I am aware that terrorists have struck and that people are beginning to panic, then we would have initiated a predetermined watch protocol. That, combined with my dogs and motion-activated battery-powered spotlights, if at night, would have warned us well in advance, and the person would have been confronted from behind cover. He would be instructed to drop his weapons. Does he? Based solely on my location, I would believe his story is a lie. The question then becomes, is he alone? Do we know if he is alone? I call my neighbor on the radio. Does he answer? Lots of unknowns here, and a lot depends on whether this all takes place at daylight or at night. Badger 359 says, just working with the parameters you gave, I would tell him to move on and have nothing for him. And I have nothing for him. If he gave the slightest resistance, he would be advised that he is painted and would be terminated where he stood. Because he is armed is not a major concern for me, because after a terrorist attack bringing down the grid, I would expect every person with common sense to be armed. Having said that, I would already be at high alert and would find it greatly suspicious of a person being in a drastic state within 24 hours. That's what rang my bell too. Within 24 hours, this guy's in a drastic state with no food, and he's coming to your door. This guy says here, Badger, it smells bad and would set off my spider sense. I do have care packages in 6-gallon buckets intended to help those in need, but it's my discretion as to whom and when I would make these available as part of my Christianity. At the very least, I would be apt to borrow a term, DEFCON number 3. Terrorists seem to strike infrastructures, political, religious, and high population gatherings or herds, LOL. Seeking out residential homes so far hasn't been on their list. You're more apt to get trouble from criminal taking advantage of the situation. Just my 2 cents, he says. I'm going to read you mine, and then let's see. Okay, Brad M says this. I would refer him to the church about 200 yards away, where they would be giving away food and providing shelter. Of course, this would be done with most of my family armed and covering their assigned areas of responsibility. If he refused to leave at that point, he would be told to leave in no uncertain terms. After that, the dogs have to eat too. Okay, here's what I said. Here's my answer. And again, let me read it. I said, great post, John. I love scenarios, and I like what you said as we begin to think through them and sort out what we should do. It can make a real thing much easier to cope with. I like the answer some of the others gave. You are getting people to think, feel, and act. So I live in an apartment building, but I will pretend for this scenario that I'm in my house. I'm in a house because that's what the scenario said. Once we were attacked in this scenario and the grid was targeted with electricity going out over a widespread region, we should expect the worst. I went through the blackout of 1977 in New York City, and I saw firsthand the looting and pillaging that happened almost as soon as the power went down. So in this scenario, I and my family members or fellow prepper group would be armed, and roving exterior patrols would be set up. If the person made it to the front door and asked for food and was armed, he would be turned away. This is because once an incident like this happens, the only people that you can trust is those in your immediate family or group. All others should be considered dangerous. Giving a food bucket to this stranger could be considered by some to be the good Christian thing to do, but it can be a deadly mistake. Now he knows you have food and supplies and will be back with his friends for more handouts. The best thing to do is warn him sternly, and there is nothing you can do for him, and ask him to leave. If he refuses or becomes combative, then he may have to be neutralized on the spot. After this scenario unfolds, I would immediately put a plan in place to prevent anyone from getting that close again. Increase perimeter patrols if I could, and I had the manpower. So that's basically what I said. If somebody's coming to your door within 24 hours of this type of scenario and they have no food, they ran out of gas, and you should be highly suspicious. Number two, as soon as something like this happened and a terrorist took down the grid in the country, all antennas have to go up. You've got to, you'll say you're hunkered down in your house with your family, or you have some others with you in your group. You've got to venture outside and start perimeter protections, because if you just sit at your house and wait, and by the time people come around, this guy could have came and two people could have been at your back door while he was knocking on the front door, and now they're surrounding your house. So they shouldn't even be able to make it to your house, or at least you should be able to create some kind of buffer zone, I would think. Once he gets to your doorstep and is knocking on your door, trouble's right there in front of your nose. Once you say no to this guy and turn him away, whether he gets the hint or not, or picks up in your voice that you're serious, now he doesn't leave and he starts being combative, you've got to make a decision. I know it's only 24 hours in, but bad things are going to happen when the lights go out, guys. It's just that way. People the evil in people comes out, and people take advantage of others, and you just can't let that happen to you and your family. So I'm interested to hear on what many of you think or would do in this situation. Again, I'll put the link in, and you can read through some of the other responses here on this particular link. But I'd be curious to know, to get people in the YouTube community to start thinking about these types of scenarios. We're seeing many, many bad things hit our country. We have a government that's out of control, that does not care about the rank and file people of this country, that make up the body of this country. Therefore, we have to look out for one another, and we have to share with one another our ideas and training and different scenarios like this, and we have to talk it through and think it through. That way, when something does happen, we at least have some type of scenario training in our mindset. And so this also can spur you to say, and hey, I need to go out and get some perimeter alarms, or I need to pick up XYZ firearm, I need more ammo, I need to get more food together. But whatever that is, make those preparations now and continue to, because times are not getting better, they're getting worse. And my friends, I think it's time to really get serious about these types of scenarios, because they're very real and they can definitely happen. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think on this scenario. Anthony signing off. Stay ready.